Hello everyone, welcome to my second review of Double Digit Q games. This one is submitted by Arch Paladin, so let's get started. Today's theme is thank you moves. We want to avoid playing moves that help our opponent. So, normal. I prefer the corner here, but as I said in the last video, it's difficult to say that any normal or not obviously bad opening move is bad. So, I think this is fine. This one, I think, is our first thank you move of the game. This just prompts white to get stronger, while black still has the two cutting points left at A and B. You see, black's groups are not all connected. So when we, ask white to get stronger like this, it's bad for us. In this case, I think just connecting here is fine. The white group is relatively weak. These two black stones are fine. They can run out. They can come along the edge here. And as long as these stones stay weak, these black stones are fine. So just connecting here helps keep these stones weak, and it also will influence the corner in some way, because white can easily, or after black gets stronger on the outside by harassing this group, and generally in Sente, then black can come back here and take this corner. So just connect. Keep your stones connected and strong. I think this is a bit much here. I think black needs to... Where am I? Okay. I think black needs to come back here and protect this. If white had decided to split here, then suddenly these three black group or stones are not quite as strong as they were, because white is all connected out and black can't really cut effectively. So these stones become kind of floating, and they can run out a little bit and get away, but in so doing, white gets a move against the other black stones. So this is why we want to keep our stones connected in the first place. Yeah, and then black gets to come back and make that because white responded. Here, this again, it's not bad. In this position, I prefer this, because we can see all of these outside moves that black is taking, and you can kind of see how a large framework would just begin to develop naturally. Normally, white would play this move in this case and try and push down on black's framework. But white Tanuki'd here, which is a bit odd. More than likely, white's not going to want to pincer these two stones in the corner here. So it's probably best just to take the corner and let black make an extension. And white gets Sente anyway, so white could still come back and make this move if white wanted to. So here, this is the correct response to the high approach. Just generally, white will play something like this. I think black takes there, and then white gets something like this. And this would be actually pretty okay for white in this case, because white can pressure these two black stones, but not... Well, we'll see that in a second, actually. So this is a move that we generally want to avoid. We want to try not to come down onto the second line so early in the game, especially in this case. This move into the corner achieves what I think black was trying to do anyway, which is to build a base for his stones and make sure that the stones didn't come under attack. But taking this corner is much larger than playing a move over here on the second line, and it solidifies black's group. So just remember that next time. Since white didn't take this point, then you can take this 3-3 if white tries to attack you from the other side. And now white almost feels compelled to make a move out here. If white ignores, then, at some point a move like this or a move like this, and white starts to feel uncomfortable. So this is a good move to know. And here we come to our next thank you move. This is a really big one for black. This exchange is very good for black. White is left with a little bit of weakness next to this strong iron pillar, and you can see that white's group on the lower edge here is slowly kind of being surrounded by black stones. And that's never a good thing, especially when you have no clear eye space as white has in this situation. There's not really a clear eye space there. It looks like black could possibly throw in at some point and reduce it, and so we don't want to get behind enemy lines like this and make it difficult to run. Black Tanukis. This is still available at almost any time. Excuse me. So I, in this case, thought that this might be a little better because of this marked white group here. Undercutting this side, the high move seems to leave quite a bit of space for white to have shenanigans. XHU said that neither of these moves is bad, but in his opinion, something like this, would be best. Some kind of high pincer here to make effective use of this strong black group out here, because white's going to run out and right into this wall. So there you go. Yep. And this is a pretty good move, I thought. It brings this fourth line group down to the third line. It can actually conceive about making territory here now. And it puts pressure on white's group by kind of limiting the eye space and kind of forcing white to run out. White makes that extension. Again, this is still, I think this is still pretty big. And I left my mistake in here for you guys to see. I did not think this was a good move. I thought that it was violating the principle of attaching to your opponent's stones. And XHU told me that I was wrong. This is in fact quite a good move. So well played, Arch Paladin. Because after here, this cut at A still causes white problems. So white is almost compelled to make a move here to fix it. And when white does make this move, you can see how close this stone is to this group. Normally, with a configuration like this, we would want a 3-space extension. So having it 1 space away is quite painful for black or for white. We don't want to have our stones grouped like this. So this is another one of the theme moves. We can see that white has played the same move that he played on the bottom, and this was actually followed immediately by another theme move by black. This is the incorrect move. It allows white to make some shape. So, and we'll see this triangle point here. This is where black should have played in the first place. Just take that nice exchange that white has offered, make this group on the bottom corner here nice and strong, or stronger. It projects some influence into the center, which is always useful. And if white really wants to do this, you can go ahead and let him, and it's really not that bad. And you can see here, this is also a good shape point because it completes white's tiger mouth, as white got here. And this was just letting the white off too easy. You could also consider Atari and then attach on top. We want to connect on the outside because the outside is more important, but you can see, again, we came back and made this move anyway. So this, if you just make this move first, then it's usually good because we always have to have it in any of these variations we consider to be good. So a lot of players don't like to leave this hanging stone here underneath, but it's really too small at the moment to go back and fix. So if white wants to take it, just go ahead and let white take it. It's still Sente for black here. This cut doesn't really need to be protected. This clamp might be something later, depending on outside liberties and stuff, but at the moment it's too small. You know, black can take a bigger point somewhere else. Maybe something like this, or even, in fact, I would actually probably just do that. So, and then there's some pretty exciting stuff here towards the end of the game involving some capturing races I'd like to get to. So I'm going to skip some of the more in-depth stuff here and just point out a few things. It's hard to see what this move is doing. I think black thinks that he is harassing this white group, but this white group is in reasonable shape. It has shaped for eye space. It's kind of out into the middle. It's going to be really difficult to kind of harass and scare it into running and make profit from it. So again, some of the other moves we could consider are here, or something like this. Some big moves that are gote, but there's really not a whole lot in terms of opening left that's not going to be, and these are pretty big. So think about that, and because here white got to counterattack a little bit. Yeah, there's a couple other variations you can look through that I've left in here. I'd like to keep these videos somewhat brief so they're watchable. So I'm going to just hit the important parts and some exciting stuff, and then you guys can look through some of the variations afterward if you'd like. So we get into a fight here. Okay, and here XHU says, we were going over this the other day, he said this is actually probably a pretty good move for black. White would connect, and then black would attach to get out. And this is kind of one of those situations where both sides do about as well as they can do if they're playing correct moves. Black, who is cut off from his groups and is trying to get away from these surrounding white stones, is going to come out a little worse off than white in this case, but this is the best case scenario for both players according to XHU. Black gets a little luck here and takes advantage of that white weakness. And then here's another situation that's fun. So black can't directly split these, as we'll see in the game. So this is kind of sad for black. This bottom white group is a little stronger now. It actually shouldn't be killable anymore. I say shouldn't because there's some magic in the end. My initial recommendation was, rather than descending here and protecting this group that's alive and connected, as well as only a couple of points, that black come out this way and begin the split. With these stones on the outside are still not alive, and again you can see they're kind of sort of behind enemy lines, which is never a good position to be in. White also needs some moves in the corner to make sure that this is alive. So white has two groups to worry about, and black has nothing to worry about. So this is really a good position for black. XHU recommended that I take it one step further and just split immediately. And then we talked about it for a while, and he showed me some stuff, and this is a reasonable variation to expect, and white has some difficulty living. So this split immediately is one of those basic concepts that Dawn level players are so good at, and Q level players are not, which is keep your opponent's stones split and keep your stones connected. It's really important. So white gets something here, and now this move is what starts this crazy fight here in the middle in a second, and these giant semi-eyes. I think this is a bit too far because of this strong white influence so close. Black should probably back it up a step and make this just a little tighter all around, and make sure we stay connected. So here white gets to peep at this cut because of how far away this stone is. And so I think, and in this case, I believe black should play here and make sure that this cut is not an issue, because if white manages to worm his way out to this wall, and this cut becomes a problem, and black has to come back and fix it anyway. So black decides to try and attack this stone, which again is a problem based on how strong white's group is. At this point, white can even sacrifice these two stones and destroy over here or something, but we keep fighting about it. And this is a rough spot for black, because you can see black's two groups are split, and it might be a little difficult to connect out to other groups because of white's strength here. And I know this white group looks a little weak, but because it's between two weak groups, it's actually fine. So just one of those things you got to think about. If I'm trying to cut my opponent, I am also cut, And so are my groups on either side of that cut strong enough to handle it? White takes the nice shape move, gets to wrap around here. At this, right, where was I? 1 second. So we'll skip past some of this. And right here, just about here, XHU thought that black would resign the game in a few moves when we were going over it, because it's pretty dire for black. And I think the mistake is right here. I think this move by white is a mistake. And I was talking to XHU about it, and I recommended that white just push again right here, and he agreed that this was a good move and would make it really difficult for black. Either way black moves here, now this move works because there's not more Ataris. And let's see, we'll go through just a little bit here. We can see that white has 4 liberties now, when black only has 2 and they share 1. So this is not good for black. If black decides to try and save this group, then white just Hanes and takes this one. So it's just really rough. And even still, black's life is not really clear here because he has to come back this way and right into these white stones on the side. You know, there's not a whole lot of help for him. He can try and get out, and it may even succeed, but it's going to cost. You know, this doesn't work. This ladder is broken, so it's tough. It's tough for black here. I left a few more variations in there to go over if you feel like it after. So, okay, this is the right one. Yeah, I left a comment here. Black got really lucky in the middle here. This was actually a pretty tough game for black for a few minutes. And then I'm not exactly sure what white was thinking. I don't understand this Tanuki by white. I believe if white had just fixed everything here like this, it's still all over for black. There's not a lot left that black can exploit in that shape. This was actually a pretty nice move by black. I like this because it meant that, white could no longer Atari at A. But it doesn't matter because black can't do anything with it, right? There's nothing that black can do to reduce this white group to to 1 liberty before black gets down to 1 liberty. So I liked the thought here, but if white had played it correctly, it wouldn't have mattered. And I'm still not sure where. Okay, there we go. Pink. Yep. And Atari. And I think white missed the fact that this move put these 2 stones into Atari. Because, yeah, that happened. So black got a little lucky here. See, I think the rest of this is pretty straightforward. End game. And here is what I was referring to at the beginning of the video when black gets to do this and cut off that white group, and this ends in a resign for black. So let's do a quick review of some of the theme moves here. Right here, this actually hits a couple of notes. One, it's don't prompt your opponent to make themselves stronger. 2, it's keep our stones connected and try and keep our opponent's groups separated and weak. You know, there's no real base yet for this white group. It can't connect back to the corner over here. So black will gain something by being able to harass this group. Probably it'll gain power. Black will gain power in the center or power along here, and then black can come back to the corner, or black can pincer from this side. You know, just make sure that these stones stay separated and weak. This is a really common thing that we see in Q games. Even when I play, I see this a lot. This is a really good exchange for black. Black gets really strong, and white still has some issues when we're up on the 3rd line, and even sometimes on the 2nd line. I'm not very good with this one yet, but there's a shape point here that can be made useful quite often. So it's something to watch for. And these small exchanges like this, where black gains, a little bit more than white gains, you add these up over the course of a game, and they can affect the outcome. So it's really important that when we're playing, we look for moves like this and make sure that we're not making our opponent stronger while not gaining anything for ourselves. Next is 38. Same move again. And I just want to emphasize to black here, just to take this point. This is pretty good, and it's pretty bad to let white take this and kind of press black down a little. We don't want that. So, point to note, and then the last one actually comes right after this, right here. And this is related to the other one, where since white is being so kind and asking you to become stronger and make your group better, and give it influence out into the middle and get rid of some of this Aji in cutting here, you should really just take them up on their kind offer. Let white come under here if white wants to, but this point 1 here is pretty important. So that's about it for this one. Hopefully it's not too quick, but like I said, I really don't want to get bogged down in a lot of technical variations where we're looking at 30 and 40 move sequences, because we all get lost, and I can kind of lose perspective in those cases. When you can't read that out, it doesn't do a whole lot of good to show you a 40 move sequence. So we're just really going to focus on some of the key elements of shape and playing, and some themes like that, and XHU will be backing me up to make sure that I'm not selling you guys garbage. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.